everyone. Hello, my dear Toastmasters. I've got some amazing faces over here, successful conference directors of District 91 to share their experience and their learnings with you and possibly even inspire you to be the next conference director. I'm Seema Menon. I'm the incoming Club Growth Director for District 91. And I'm lucky to have the conference directors from 2015 to 2024 here sharing their journey and their experiences with us. I will take a moment here now to hand over to Jill, who is our first in amongst the panel from 2015. Jill, do share a bit about your journey, as well as I would love to know what was a theme that you had when you started conferences.
Hello, everybody. My theme wasn't exactly a theme because I wasn't following in the footsteps of other people who had a theme. My conference was called Spring. It had a spring theme. It was spring at the Tower of London. And it very much reflected freshness, youth, excitement. And in fact, in those days, we didn't have to have a branded flyer, a Toastmaster branded flyer. I had permission to use a logo that was created specially, and it was bright yellow and bright green, the colors of spring.
Thank you, Jill. I now hand over to Helena, who was the District 91 Conference Director for 2018.
Thank you, Seema. I think I was very fortunate to have also been part of Jill's conference team, so that wider team. And I'd already been to conferences, so I was a little bit hooked on them anyway as a Toastmaster member. I knew the benefits of going to Toastmasters conferences. And I think that the themes and the way that things happen within Toastmasters in the conference, it sort of morphs out of some of who are in your team a little bit as well about what they're looking to gain. And we came up with an idea in my year of doing an AI and tech breakfast meeting, because we were near to the Thames Valley sort of, and we had, some of those corporates in our sort of catchment. And you know what? I thought nobody's going to take this on. First job that got assigned, somebody stepped forward and went, "That's for me." And I thought it was amazing. And, finding volunteers that wanted to do things and learn from their experience. So we may not have had the same sort of theme as other people, but I just remember people going, "Oh, you're the ones that did the breakfast thing." People remember that breakfast AI meeting.
Amazing. It's about making the conference relevant, isn't it, for the members?
Particularly in the Thames Valley at that point, because we had those big corporates in the area, in the geography we were meeting. And that breakfast meeting was on a Saturday morning, and they were still all prepared to get out of bed and come and support it. It was remarkable. So breakfast networking for tech people works, top tip.
And that then takes me to the next conference director, Guler. Guler, over to you.
Thank you, Seema, and welcome everyone. God, we're going back 2021, and of course that was the second year we hit online conferences. So I was the second year running as conference director, and my inspiration came from the two ladies sitting here, Jill and Helena. I helped Helena at her conference in 2018. Don't ask me which role I did, but I helped. And I was so inspired about those two, and Jill's ability of standing on that stage in that beautiful pink. And I thought, you know what, I really want to do that role. So the next year I did put my hand up when Andy Hammond, as district leader, asked for supporters for the following years. So the theme I thought about, we did that, of course, jointly as a group. And I tell you, that's the funniest part of setting up this conference. And the longest discussion you'll ever get. It's like, what will be our theme? So there's so many ideas going by, and then eventually you all come and stick to, as what we did, learn, grow, and inspire together.
And you did, right? You inspired everyone. So I've got the conference director from Debbie over here to share how she was inspired the very next year to become the District 91 conference director. Over to you, Debbie.
Thank you very much. Well, there seems to be a link here because Gulair and I were in the same Toastmasters club, the Speakers of Croydon. And at the time, I was a division director. Helena was the district director at the time as well. And at the time, I had no intention of being a conference director. But the lovely Jill Segal gave this amazing speech as to why she became a conference director and how much she learned and grew from that experience. And I thought to myself, this sounds really good. I wonder if I can do this also. And one of the things that I did, I had a really strong division team at the time. And I spoke to them first and I said, well, I'm thinking of doing this, but we're all going to need to pull together as a team even more in order to make this happen. And they were totally 100% behind me. And I kind of like raised my hand and said, I'm happy to step forward as a conference director. And again, I had a really strong conference team, which really helped to facilitate the success of that conference. The theme was everything is possible, because we were just coming out of the pandemic and things seemed really, I don't know, a bit crazy at the time, and things seemed a little bit unattainable. And I just wanted to demonstrate, you know what, everything is possible. You're just going to have to want it. And so that was the theme for the year.
And truly inspiring, right? Coming from learn, grow, and inspire. And you said everything is possible. And from that, I move on to Amy, who was the conference director for 2024. Amy, I can see that you have the conference background somewhere. Yeah. So tell me more about, please introduce yourself and tell me more about the theme. And how did you go about?
Yes, so Amy Jones, I guess my conference experience started when I was an area director-elect, so the first online year, and I was absolutely blown away, as I'm sure we all were, with the attendance. But that was, you know, a live captured audience, everyone stuck at home. And then the following year, as an area director, I was obviously a little bit more involved. I understood the process. Gulair was coming to the deck meetings and presenting about conference updates. And as a district leader in that deck, you kind of take a little bit of ownership, I guess, of supporting what's going to happen and making sure that all your members are aware of the opportunity of the conference. So that really opened my eyes up. And then the following year, I was part of that division team that Debbie was leading, and originally said, oh, of course, like I can step up and help a bit more while you're running the conference. And then she approached me and said, I need more help. And that was probably one of the best experiences I've had in Toastmasters. So just the people that I met, working more consistently with people well beyond your area. So even though I'd been an area director, you may do, an area contest or a division contest, but the conference is a much longer project. And I was really inspired, and I said, oh, I'll do 2024, because I clocked that it would be the 10th one. So I thought, right, I want to do that one. I want to do one really significant. And I actually backpedaled and said I wouldn't, because I've just moved to Australia. But what inspired me to do it was the members at the end of the day. I thought, do you know what? I really want to pull something off. And Steve asked me to help look for venues. He was program quality director for me. And that inspired me when I found a venue that was, hybrid built in Bristol. And I think the theme for me was interesting, hearing a few people say that their theme was something that their team got involved with, because I did it a little bit differently. I had a theme in mind for quite some time, and I took that theme to in my bid to the DLT, and they were a bit like, we're not sure. And I then asked a former district PR manager for some help, and we crafted it. And then it was the marketing chair for the conference my year who came up with Limitless You. So it actually started as Limitless Tomorrow. And what I really wanted was to make it all about the members. So I didn't want it just to be about celebrating our 10th anniversary, because for new members, that doesn't really mean anything. And so I wanted them to feel like it was about the opportunities that come from Toastmasters, and that if they embrace those, it creates a limitless future and everything is possible. So I was inspired by the past, but I wanted to look forward as well. And then we had sort of the underlining celebrate, connect, and create as well. So we were talking about legacies. So trying to tie in that 10th anniversary, but also think about what's next for our district in the UK South, but also for Toastmasters International, because this is our 100 years.
And that's so inspiring for not just for the members who attended the conference. I was there at the conference and I had a fabulous time. What a spectacular venue, overseeing the bridge over there in Bristol. And what was your learning, Amy, from that? And how do you see that, transferring into your work or your professional life?
I would say my learning for the conference was lessons I'd learned already through my Toastmasters journey and my professional career, but really, rather than watching other people have things happen and then seeing or thinking, right, that's an issue, or picking up on what other people told me, it was really putting that into practice. So one big one for me was, if someone in my team didn't know how or to do something and nobody else had any idea, and someone would say, oh, let's do X, and I would say, well, who knows how to do that? And if no one knew how to do it and no one had the appetite to do it, unless it was one of the things that had to happen, so we have to support the district council meeting and the contests, then I just said no, because I didn't want. I think in the last few years, everyone sort of threw themselves into the conferences, which was fantastic. But we did have a bit of burnout, and I just didn't want to see that for my team. I didn't want them to overcommit, and I didn't want to be in a situation where like one member was carrying a whole area of the conference. So that was the biggest learning for me, which came from sort of my journey in Toastmasters and other volunteer roles, was if the whole team, if I can't teach someone else how to do it, or they can't teach me, then it's not going to happen. We're not pulling it off. It'll be too much stress. And it just made sure that the team had a really good time, as well as all the delegates. And how that's pivoted into my career, funnily enough, I have just received a job offer, and my role is a future students coordinator with a focus on the Connect stream. And when I was interviewed for the role, they asked me about the future of learning, because it's a role in a university, so it's promoting higher education. And I was talking about lifelong learning in the conference, and the importance of being willing to, it's not always just about the pathway in Toastmasters, it's about the journey and the people that you meet and the other projects that you take on. And that's the same for pretty much anything in life. So whether it's a formal qualification that you do or something that you volunteer for. And after that, I didn't get the job I interviewed for, but she rang me up and said, well, instead of this marketing job, could you do this Connect job, which is about going into schools, pulling off events and promoting higher education? I said, oh, I would love to. So it's helped me sort of pivot and make a career change recently. And yeah, it's quite nice to walk away from that and go, oh, that really gave me the confidence to know that I can take those skills that I honed by being a conference director and help take my career in a different direction.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it helps you reinvent yourself, right? It helps you take up any challenge and not be hesitant about it, because you know you've put up a great show and you're able to corral people around to deliver that and follow the same vision. So thanks for that. Helena, I would love to hear from you on the same topic. What has been your learning as a conference director, and how has it helped you in your professional life?
The interesting thing, when I was conference director, I was running my own company at the time. And actually the camaraderie of bringing the team together within the Toastmasters environment was a different team learning than it was in a more professional role. And it's interesting corralling volunteers to do things who have a different level of commitment and purpose than people who in work have got, at the end of the day, a paycheck. You know what I mean? And it's that interesting part of the willing volunteers that step forward to support. That range of people with their skill sets are able to pull across so many things that they were able to bring, going, oh, I can do that. Oh, I know who you need to bring in. We can bring this person in to do X on that. They had so many great connections. And I think it was in the Toastmasters world where everybody was just looking for somebody to say yes. And the majority of people we asked to do things said yes, partly because they had some form of education award that they were aiming towards, that they were looking for the opportunity to get involved as well. But for me, in that environment, that really was very helpful, because that also helped me with my high performance leadership project. That was my conference. And having the team around that were from the wider area of where we were as well, it allowed us to bring in members from the corporate world, members from different clubs. So it wasn't just one club focus, it was that wider piece of the team being from very different backgrounds that didn't know each other at the beginning, and then suddenly forming that team, forming that camaraderie, all of those sort of all of the Tuckman model things that you think about of storming and forming, we were, and then performing, we were there as that team. And I think I saw that in action, and that difference between work and voluntary, I saw that play out, and I've been able to take that away on the different approach, given the commitment that volunteers bring to the table.
That's really interesting about managing different personalities and getting them to follow the same vision, especially when they're volunteers versus your work, right? It becomes easier to transfer that when you have a team reporting to you officially at workplace. Jill, I heard about your journey with music after Toastmasters conference. Would love to hear more about that.
I went into Toastmasters because I was a nervous speaker, but I very quickly realized that I could push myself into different avenues and get stronger, cross my comfort zone. And when I had the opportunity to organize a conference, despite the fact I'd produced concerts before, and indeed I'd produced a couple of plays, this was a fantastic opportunity to prove myself and to take it out into the wider world, which I did, and I loved it. Because I did that conference, I was then invited to be the director of a music festival in Italy. And in the same spirit that I'd gone to Toastmasters and then moved forward and pushed myself into different areas, I went, oh, yes. I didn't think beforehand what being in a foreign country, in a country that maybe women didn't have quite the same respect that they might have had in other areas. And I just said yes, and I did it. But I had so much experience behind me, and it informed how I went forward. It was brilliant, and it was a fantastic experience. There were highs, there were some lows, but you learn so much from a similar experience as a conference director.
Jill, Would love to move on to Debbie now. Debbie, if you can share with me some of the unexpected challenges that you faced, and what were the top 3 lessons that you learned from that?
I think the top challenge that I faced was, at the time we had an in-person dinner and we had to change venues at very short notice. So what I learned was always have a contingency plan in place, and also to be flexible and adaptable to any challenge that may occur as well, and to remain calm in a situation, always remain calm. And I just think that it's testament to having a strong team as well. I think it's really important that in a team setting that everyone knows what the goals are, everyone knows what the aim of the conference is and what you're trying to achieve, and everyone has that buy-in. And then no matter what challenges you face, everyone's still focused about what we're trying to achieve, and and overcoming that challenge becomes a lot simpler than everyone running around like headless chickens. And I think that is the main learning, is to always be focused, always know what the goals are, and to always be flexible and adaptable.
Thank you. And this is just coming out of COVID, as you mentioned earlier, isn't it? To
Yes.
learn from that and pick and adapt yourself to it. Over to you, Guler, because you were just probably coming out of the COVID, the pandemic scene too. So I would love to hear about what were the challenges that you had and what were your learnings from there.
Thank you, Seema. And I wasn't out of the COVID as yet, because of course we had 2020, what went into the COVID scenario. And of course I was the logistics director there. It was Diane Robertson, who was the conference director 2020. And of course, that was that big change in going online. Now, the beautiful thing was there was no well, the big challenge was, of course, the Zoom, isn't it? How are we going to put this all together and keep people engaged? And that's why I was so inspired with the first year, that when I was doing 2021, that I needed to really quickly think of something totally different so that people got a different experience. Because, of course, Debbie's year could take, the hybrid into effect, but I was still totally online. So you got to inspire someone saying, okay, how can we make this even more exciting than last year? And then getting the buy-in of your team to believe that and say, but that's where it is. And I think when you are leading and when you start to lead a project, it is for you as the leader to have this massive big vision in your head and stick with it. Because it's so easy to get distracted by others saying, oh, how about this? How about that? But if you believe in something, stick to it. Of course, the challenges are people might not buy into it, but that's why we're at Toastmasters. Communicate and work out how you can get the buy-in of people. And, my first challenge was, and again, someone in the background told me this, get the experts on your team. And again, with the online scenario, I could reach out everywhere in the district so easily. It wasn't like when you maybe had to organize it face to face, to have to travel to see people. This was really an amazing opportunity to reach out to others in the wider district, even outside the district, to get that support. And I pulled some amazing people who had so much experience. Mr. Finance Manager Eddie, I mean, he inspired our our current district director at the time, 2021. So he was pulled into the district executive team because he showed so much leadership.
I saw the work that Eddie had done because I was your PQD at that year, and I could just see the work that he was putting in as finance manager, and his slides made sense, his information made sense. that way he delivered, complex finance stuff to non-finance people, and we all sat there and nodded. We knew what he was talking about. And the at the time, the district finance manager, Brad Ravel, said he was a pleasure to work with. And when you get the nod from the current district finance manager that the conference financer knows what they're talking about, you go to sidle up and ask them to join your team in the next year. So you never know where the opportunities will take you.
Oh, that's it, isn't it? And that's why it's so good that we get the opportunity to go wider afield and pull the right team together and inspire them even to go further. Yeah, that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gulera and Helena. So here for the 2025 conference director, Eddie, reach out to Eddie for finance to get inspiration on that and to have learning from his experience. But this brings me on to the next question. Why do you think someone should take up the role of the conference director? And what is your message to them? How do what is your inspiration for them to take up this role? Anyone volunteering to go first? Gulera, over to you.
I'm just thinking back to May, a wonderful table topic question. Why not? That was so good. And it is the opportunity. Remember, we're here we learn by doing. We're not learning by thinking, okay, let me get this worked out first, or let me do this first, and then I'll be ready. We'll be ready when you say just a big yes, let's do it. And think about all the support you get with it. You're not doing it on your own. And it's fun. And explore your project managing skills, explore building a team, explore challenging yourself how to motivate your team, and challenging yourself how to deal with a difficult team where there are clashes and you have to, bring that back together again.
Absolutely. It brings out your skills as a leader, right? How to manage conflict, how to rediscover the agreement between people, how to inspire, to pitch the idea to internally as well as externally, bring out your marketing. I truly agree. I've had such amazing experience doing keynotes and workshops for different conferences, and I can see the work that happens in the background to make it seamless. We don't see all the turmoil under the smooth facade, right? We just enjoy the whole experience. Amy, you raised your hand. Would love to hear your thoughts.
I think I would encourage someone to do it if I think one way to look at it is in Toastmasters, we talk about getting outside the club bubble. So you learn your club really well, and it is a really safe place to try different leadership roles, give speeches. And when you start going beyond the club, you can be an area director and a division director, and you can sponsor and mentor, et cetera, et cetera. But all of those examples are still you're still in like a safe bubble, I would say. If you are elected onto the district leadership team, that's a little bit different, or you're appointed into there. But still, when you're on that district leadership team, you don't have quite as much autonomy as you do as conference director. So, for example, the budget that got approved and presented to DEC for my conference I'm pretty sure it's probably more money in itself than like a single DLT member would get a say on. Does that make sense? So the district leadership team, especially the trio, will like have a budget for the district that will get approved by district council. But the conference gets to really, like, especially if you get your bid in early and you get to sort of pave that way before it goes through the district council, you really have a lot of autonomy in that role, and you're given quite a lot of responsibility. Now, of course, there's layers of, you have to, if the district council meeting happens that weekend and the contest, you have to work with people to pull those off. But the rest you get a lot of autonomy on. And I think that's where it's the most real life experience you can have in Toastmasters for a big project, in my opinion, because you have lots of different stakeholders. So everything from the district director to the DLT to the PQD to the venues that you're dealing with, to the people, videographers, photographers, the contestants, the speakers, the team that you've got, the delegates, and all of that is more real life. You don't have to be someone that wants to work in events or logistics specifically. You can have a marketing role and often have to work with a lot of different stakeholders. So that experience in itself is, obviously, if you run for Trio, you would get a lot of that experience. But when you're running for Trio, it's not a given that you're going to get all the, go club growth, PQD, district director, but you kind of have to do it knowing that is the path that you could be heading down. Whereas conference director is like 1 year. So you can do it, get all that experience and know, okay, I'm going to hand over to the next conference director and I don't have to think about what has to happen the next year. So yeah, that would be my sort of, if you want to do something bigger in Toastmasters, but you're not quite sure if you're ready to step up and do district leadership, conference director gives you a lot of autonomy and it gives you a lot of that experience before you would go into those roles.
Thank you. Absolutely. It's a learning ground. You pick the skills and what next? Take on the leadership roles from there and progress further on the district. Anyone else who would like to go? Yes, Jill, and then Helena.
I feel that when you stand on the stage at the end of the conference, you thank your team. You've seen how this thing that you've been working on for months and months and months happened. You suddenly understand more about yourself. And what you understand about yourself is how much you knew that you didn't think you knew, and how much you've grown and need to understand. You've had all the applause, you've had all the plaudits, you've had people coming up to you and saying, what a great conference. And I think you can then really have a greater belief in yourself, and it's a really good feeling.
Thank you. Helena.
My point was going to be around the interaction that the conference director has with the PQD, because the PQD is the point person within the district leadership team that the conference director reports into. And the way that Amy has described it, and my experience of being completely autonomous when I was conference director, is because the conference needs to happen separately to the district business. So the team that are running the conference and the conference director and the team that they're leading, they have their mission is to and their goal is to put on the district conference. They're not worried about building new clubs and supporting non-clubs and achieving excellence, but hopefully the tail that wags the dog, that will be a consequence of the good inspiring things that happen at conference, that those things will flow. So that autonomy that Amy talks about, I found that really an amazing thing. This is yours to go and put on, report back in, and the level of trust that you are given by the PQD and the district as a whole to deliver the conference for the district, for the members, for everybody. And you're thinking, wow, they've actually put a lot of trust in me to do this. So that in itself is a real boost to confidence when you know that you have the support. And then they're going, here you go, off you go, little sort of fledgling, off you go. And then suddenly by the time it comes to the conference complete, you look back, as Jill just said, and you just go, wow, how did we do this from where we were thinking about it at the beginning? So it is an amazing achievement and a bit of an adrenaline rush at the end of it. And obviously the thanks that we get and the thanks that we're giving is because we just know how much work has gone into actually putting on the district conference.
And Helena, that brings me to the four core values of Toastmasters, right? When you trust someone, you're giving respect to that person to deliver and put together a great show, keeping members first. And as you mentioned earlier, and that's where the excellence comes in, right? When everyone comes together to deliver an excellent show at the end of it, we're not just as conference directors, you're learning. Everyone in your team is learning. Everyone in the district is learning as members. And that's what takes the legacy forward. Fabulous thoughts. Debbie, over to you to share your thoughts.
No, thank you very much. And particularly as being the incoming PQD, Program Quality Director as well, I think one thing that I really appreciated was the mentoring around putting on a conference. You're not doing it on your own. I did it as a high performance leadership project as well. And the mentoring and the support around it, also the fact that you're able to nurture new talent as well. I know Goulet mentioned Eddie, for example, but there are others who have really contributed throughout our various conferences, who we may never have met, and they probably wouldn't have had the exposure to the rest of the district had they not got involved. So it's not just about you, it's about the talent that you can actually bring to the fore as well. And I think also your ability to actually overcome problems and to actually produce something that is really tangible and to actually see and reflect upon it as well is really something that's absolutely amazing. And also the fact that you can use it professionally afterwards, whether you move on to do events or whether you actually participate in events. I've been asked to participate in various conferences, after my conference, and you see things in a completely different light. When you're asked to go to be a keynote speaker or to sit in a panel discussion, you have that experience of knowing what goes behind the scenes and actually putting a conference on and actually getting the speakers together, and you have this new appreciation that just stays with you.
Thank you. Such amazing feedback from each of you, and thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on this. I think this will definitely inspire the conference directors for the next few years. And then we have each one of you available to reach out and mentor the incoming conference directors. If they have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Jill, Helena, Amy, Claire, and Debbie, and they'll be there to share their experiences too. I look forward to another inspiring year and future years with some great themes. I'm looking forward to 2025 theme and see how can limitless you become. What is that going to translate into next? So thank you so much for your time, and really appreciate. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.